welcome to I Love This Thing So Fricking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Amy Cole, a writer. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on here.
Thanks for being here. So, here's how this works. Amy will have 3 minutes to talk about something that she loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything she wants. Our only requirement is that she loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Amy?
I am so ready.
Excellent. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
I love Silent Hill so freaking much. And for those of you who don't know what it is a horror survival game. It's a much bigger franchise. It has movies, graphic novels, pachinko machines, but I'm going to just talk about the games, the good old OG. I love Silent Hill so much for a few reasons. One of those is its origin story. Silent Hill was developed by this team of underdogs over at Konami, which is a Japanese gaming company. And they were basically pulled from these other games that hadn't done too well, or they were already talking about leaving the company, and they were told, make this game. We want it to be scary. And for Western audiences, we will offer you almost no money or help. And if it fails, you all lose your job. So go. So right from the get-go, it's an underdog story, which you've always got to love. And what came out of it was this terrifying game in 1999 that completely changed the gaming landscape. So first off, that's a really cool story because these folks were given no support, just a team of creatives who loved their job, who did their research, and who ultimately made a game that is just something that I love so much, but that so many people love so much. And then the game itself is amazing because it has such a rich storytelling world. And as a writer, I absolutely love any sort of medium that offers a world that fans can build on and can speculate about. And it just has its own rich history and lore. And what's so cool about Silent Hill, and I could talk for hours about the game and about what makes it unique and about the history that the fans and that the creators of the world have created. But at the end of the day, what makes Silent Hill so amazing is that it's a town that is its own main character. When people talk about their favorite parts of Silent Hill, as great as the characters are, as scary as the monsters are, as awesome as the soundtrack is, and the soundtrack is just unreal. I mean, the town itself is fascinating. You're so drawn to it. It's foggy, it's mysterious, it's filled with the monsters. Parts of it aren't even that beautiful. They're kind of run down. But at the same time, like you're so drawn into this world. And even though I shouldn't want to, I want to go to Silent Hill. I want to walk around it so badly. I want to touch the bleeding walls. I want to see what the monsters do and the cameras aren't on them. I mean, this town, this game is just wild. And so the games each follow a different story. Some of them are sequels, some of them are prequels to one another, but for the most part, the unifying aspects of this game is that
Go ahead and finish your thought.
Is that it takes place in this town called Silent Hill, which I love so freaking much.
That's awesome. Thank you for telling us about Silent Hill today.
Yeah, thank you for asking. No one ever asks me.
So could you tell me, how did you first get into Silent Hill?
When I was 13, I just got into horror movies. It was at a time when I was too young to go see R-rated films. So to see an R-rated movie was an event because first you had to find the money to get the tickets, and then you had to find a way to sneak into the theater, and then you had to find a way to not get caught in the theater, right? So that alone was just another time period. But this movie had just come out. I'd seen the trailer for it once, and I was brand new to horror movies. I was like addicted to the feeling of like getting scared in the movie theater and like hearing people react around me. And Silent Hill looked cool. The trailer, as I recall, the first time I saw it, it looked spooky, but I don't remember being especially excited to see it. It just sort of looked like another horror movie to me. But then my friend invited me to go with her, and I was like, yeah, let's go. It's Saturday. I'm doing nothing. So we went and we saw the movie. We were one of the only people in the theater. It was relatively empty. And the movie itself, I love so much. That's a whole nother discussion. It's a whole nother story. It's a whole nother like idea of how you can view Silent Hill. But it was so weird. I was like, what is this? The monsters are weird. Like the story was so like big. Like the story itself, I went home and I immediately went onto Wikipedia to like read more about the history of Silent Hill and like how the movie was made and what the movie was actually about, because I had questions. I was really fascinated by it. And I learned that Silent Hill was actually a game. It was a game from Japan. It was a game that some people say scared them so much it made them faint, which I was like, awesome.
Wow.
I want to faint from fear. That sounds like how I want to go in general. Let's do it. No, I'm just kidding. I do love being scared though. It's a fun feeling.
Oh, it's always so interesting to me when someone comes on the show and talks about how much they enjoy scary stuff, because that is not my usual thing I like to do for fun.
No, I know. And it's a bit like a drug, you know. It's like it doesn't last. It's such a fleeting feeling, but it just kind of gives you this little high, this rush of adrenaline. For me, it gives me a little bit of serotonin too. I don't know why. I don't know why for me being scared is like the equivalent of being like wrapped up in a warm blanket. I'm scared. And you know, I don't mean like when I'm scared for my life, when I'm watching something scary or I'm experiencing something that I opt into that's scary, like a video game. It's just there's something very cozy about it for me.
Certainly, it's a situation where you know it's not real, you know it's there, but you can still experience the emotions. So what is it? What was it about this game that was so scary it made people faint?
You know, and as I said that, I was like, I don't know if that ever actually happened. That's what my friend told me at the time. And, you know, I think she was trying to gas it up for me a bit, trying to get me scared. But what I think that what really scares people about Silent Hill is that it is a psychological horror game.
Hmm.
There are jump scares, you do fight monsters. But what makes it so different from the horror games that came before it and a lot of the games that came after it is that in some cases you can't fight these monsters. They are stronger than you. And when you get into the game story and like the logic behind the monsters, they're each supposed to represent like our own deepest fears, depending on who walks into Silent Hill. Like the idea of the town is that it takes your deepest fears and it manifests them in a way that can only scare you. So obviously when you are playing a game, there are very few options as to what you see because the game is designed. The game will end a certain way, the game will proceed in a certain way. So I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but what I love about it is that the fear that you feel in Silent Hill comes so much from a combination of the actual silence that they use in the game and the suspense, anticipation, not knowing what's going to be around the corner. And I love that because it allows you as the player to fill that void, because as scary as as scary as the monsters are that game designers can create, what we envision in our head is ultimately what scares us the most. So I think they do a really good job of filling in those holes.
Absolutely. You mentioned that the town is very mysterious and foggy. It sounds like, as you mentioned, you immediately left the movie and were thinking, oh, what else is there? What more is going on? And had to go digging into it. There always feels like there's something else out there, something scarier, something worse, as your own imagination is adding to that horror, which sounds amazing.
Oh, it's so amazing. It's I get such a kick out of it. I love it so much.
Tell me more about how you mentioned fans can build on and speculate about the world of Silent Hill. What's the fan community like for this franchise?
Fan community is so awesome. So the game itself has been defunct for quite a while. So all the fans really have now are their own ideas and their own, not conspiracy theories, but their own theories and their own products to keep the franchise alive, because that's all that they have now. And the game itself already has a very, very rich story world. And as a writer, I love that. I love that it is a game that truly put story at the forefront of what the experience was expected to be from the get-go. And when you have, and as you know, Sophie, as a writer, when you already just have such a well-written universe, it invites more because it makes you want to explore more. So I remember growing up, I discovered fan fiction, and one of the first fan fictions that I wrote was for Silent Hill. And what I loved about it was just you go through all these other stories and Some people would write novelizations of the games because the games themselves were already so amazing that they just were excited to like present it in a new type of format. Some of them would be like, this is the like taking the history of like, because as you play the game, you learn more about this town, you learn more about its past, its history, who was there first, why it's such an evil town. So people like to take those aspects of the game and kind of compile their own history of Silent Hill, which I think is really cool because history is hard. It's hard to create a background for something. And this is people truly just trying to build the world that they love so much to make it come more real for them.
Is there anything that you don't like about Silent Hill? And if so, how do you handle that?
Yeah, I really don't like that they're not making games anymore. I think they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the things I probably don't love about Silent Hill so much is the combat itself is very funky. It's very difficult to maneuver. And I think that's a pretty common complaint amongst a lot of the players, like whether you're playing the first game or you're playing the game that came out in 2008 over in the US. Just the combat's always felt a bit awkward to me. I'm also really bad with combat, so I'm not sure I would do too much better had it been a better system. But whether you're a good player or a bad player, it's kind of hard to kill those monsters cleanly sometimes.
Well, you mentioned before that a lot of the monsters just are so bad and are so scary that you can't kill them, and maybe you got to figure out something else to do to survive.
Oh, yeah, very true. And actually, when I do go back to play the games, I like to play it so that I don't have to kill the monsters as much because I'm in it for the story. You know, fighting monsters is something I kind of have to do, but because I love the story so much, I get through that aspect of the game.
It sounds like there's something for everyone in this game. Like if you do want the challenge of fighting the monsters, well, there are plenty of monsters, go fight them. But if you want to explore and get all the story details, sounds like there's so much more of that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's what's cool about a game is that it is very much choose your own adventure in that sense. Sort of like a theme park.
Yeah, it is. Amy, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Thank you so much for asking me about something I love today.
Oh, that's my pleasure. Absolutely. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about Silent Hill or our guest, Amy, you can find her social media information in the episode description. And don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Fricking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed and edited by Sophie A. Katz. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.